This classic story begins with the two main characters facing death because how else are they going introduced two badass samurais? That said, to recap what happened and how we arrived at this point, we go way back to Fu, a waitress in a tea house. She has been having a tough day at work due to the town's corrupt mayor and his son who is being very disrespectful with his friends in the restaurant. Luckily, the man with the exotic fighting style, Mugen, arrives, and although he is dripped, he doesn't have money to buy food, so he tries to cut a deal with Fu, telling her that he will take care of those douchebags if she feeds him. Fu didn't want to accept initially, but when she slipped and dropped the teacup on a guy's head, she found herself in a not-so-friendly situation. Hence, she accepts the offer and Mugen runs wild, kicking ass and slashing bodies. Meanwhile, on the outside, Jin finds himself in a samurai standoff against three guys who look tough, but were no match for his elegant sword style. Back inside, the douche blondie tells Mugen his father has 3 strong bodyguard samurai and that he will regret what he did to him. Unimpressed, Mugen tells the lackeys to get those samurai while he breaks the guy's fingers. Shortly after, Jin arrives at the restaurant and Mugen mistakes him for one of the bodyguards, so he attacks him. And oh boy, what a fight that was. The animation was smooth and the soundtrack was cool. Sadly, it was cut short by an idiot who lit the place on fire, which resulted in the pair capture. After being tortured and beaten, the couple talks a bit about their fight. "You are the worst samurai I ever fought. Your stands are all wrong, leaving you wide open in your technique. Oh lord, it is more sloppy than Adriana Chechik going all in. Yet you are the first person I couldn't kill," Jin said. Feeling honored, the king of swag shares his name with him, and then the wholesome moment gets cut by Fu, who is trying to free them but fail. So here we are on the day of execution. The boys hold their heads high as they know this is not the end, managing to free themselves from their bind, and with the help of the booba they flee the building. Later on, the pair attempts to restart their battle, but Fu stops them and tosses a coin, saying if it lands on heads then the pair can continue their battle, but if it lands on tails they postpone their battle to help her find a samurai who smells of sunflowers. She wins the toss, so Jin and Mugen postpone their duel as the group gets chased from town. Now in the second town, the trio faces the reality that they have no money, no food, and no shelter. The three overhear rumors of an ogre on the loose, and like usual, Mugen offers to kill the local innkeeper for a free stay in the inn. Later, they come across a pretty good-looking lady who is stumbling in the woods. Our boy helps her, and so in return, she takes him back home. Later, it is revealed to be a trap set up by the first douchebag of the story. The woman poisoned our boy and told him that the medicine bottle is with the guy and that he should go and see him. The douchebag, along with his partner, the ogre, a man who has seen lifetime abuse for his size and appearance, has already killed the innkeeper, kidnaps Fu as a lure, and sets an assassin against Jin. However, Fu proves to be too cute and kind as she befriends the ogre, yet he is baited into fighting Mugen. When the douche goes to strike Fu, the big-sized baby kills the spoiled brat before he is killed in turn by Mugen. The assassin, having fought Jin to a standstill, concedes the fight and leaves as his client is dead. While on the road to the next town, Mugen and Jin trick Fu and abandon her, which is highly untestable as she won't shut the F up. Mugen goes to a restaurant and steals food from a gang, enraging them into a fight. However, their leader, Nagatomi, is impressed with Mugen's ability and hires him as a bodyguard over his bodyguard. Jin later eats at the same restaurant but cannot pay for his food and must work as a sword for hire by Sasuke. Not the edgy kid from Naruto, but the heir to the rival Yakuza gang Mugen is working for. Sasuke struggles to fight against the rival Yakuza Nagatomi because his sister-like friend Asuzu was forced into prostitution to pay off her father's debt, the same brothel that Fu was forced to work at when captured. That karma is a thing, and it brought the trio back together as Mugen re-encounters Jin when he was guarding Sasuke to break into Nagatomi territory in an attempt to save Asuzu. Fu interrupts their fight, then Jin and Sasuke escape using flash bombs. Mugen urges Nagatomi to take Kawara territory by force, but Nagatomi refuses to and explains that obtaining their territory through legal means is more effective. Furthermore, Nagatomi discusses his plans of ruling the land through control, something which Mugen disagrees with, so he leaves the gang. When Jin deters Sasuke from saving Asuzu, Sasuke accidentally kills a man belonging to the Nagatomi gang and is captured. Nagatomi confronts the boy's father, the leader of the rival gang, and the two agree to gamble the kid's life or Kawara's territory. On the night of the gamble, Fu escapes from the brothel but is mistaken as a dice roller. When Sasuke's father loses, he instead commits seppuku to honor the outlaw honor code, yet the other leader doesn't care about the code and reveals that he will be attacking the territory of the other gang. Then Mugen abruptly interrupts and creates chaos, killing people left and right with the help of his homie. Later, Nagatomi is killed by the original bodyguard that was replaced by Mugen previously. While the trio is at a restaurant, Fu meets an artist who seems to be in the middle of a slave trafficking situation, as the detective Manza the Saw narrates. Fu now is posing for the guy for pay. Jin plays games with an old man for the prize being a bag of gold if he wins, while Mugen is doing Mugen things like beating up street thugs and taking their money. Yet as with all things with this trio, shit goes sideways. The artist is finished and Fu is kidnapped by the local Yakuza. The painter explains while trying to free the main girl that he was working for them due to his paintings not selling. But the convo gets cut short when the Yakuza catch him, so they beat the guy up and throw him back in his house, where Mugen happens to be waiting. Mugen helps save Fu, while Manzo arrests the man Jin was playing with, as it turns out he was the leader of the trafficking ring. The old man throws a bag of gold coins to Jin as a part of their deal, securing the travel expenses for the next town. Now short of funds, the three enter an eating contest, with Jin and Mugen giving up their swords as payment, but they all lose to Joji, a European who happens to enjoy the company of men more than women, if you know what I mean. In exchange for a tour of the city, Joji agrees to return the swords, and the tour goes as you expect from your typical weed. He was fanning over everything and letting everyone know with his broken Japanese. While on tour, the group defends Joji from samurai enforcers seeking him as a foreigner. At one point when cornered, Joji, whose real name is Isaac, was revealed via a letter from the shogun to be a key figure in the Dutch East India Company. Thus the samurai leave him alone. Fu later asks Joji in private about the samurai who smells of sunflowers, showing him a skull with a loop. A fearful Joji warns her about showing it to anyone, directing her to Nagasaki. As usual, when visiting a new town, the boys head first to where food is, and while Fu, Jin, and Mugen are going to get some soup, Fu's purse is stolen by the thief Shinsuke, who also steals an important item from a local gang. Shinsuke tries to make a deal using Fu's money in exchange for some medicine for his mother's condition. Fu overhears, deciding to observe his house. She is caught by Shinsuke's mother, who explains the situation. Shinsuke's father abandoned the family many years ago, leaving her son to care for her alone. Later that night, Shinsuke visits the doctor that helps him treat his mother, but the type of medicine that can fully cure her is far more expensive. The next morning, Fu confronts Shinsuke, but they get attacked by the gang and forced to hide. While hiding, Fu and Shinsuke bond, Fu revealing her past with a missing father and sick mother. Meanwhile, the boys arrive at the scene and find out the guy who took the money has taken Fu hostage, so Mugen charges in and takes on the gang from earlier to rescue Fu, giving Shinsuke an opening to escape, but is killed by police during a fight, ending this event on a low yet realistic point. However, the singing swordsman Nagamitsu and two accompanying thugs are here to lift the atmosphere, as we find out they are on the hunt for Jin, challenging any glasses-wearing samurai they find. While at a restaurant, Mugen and Jin are infatuated with a well-rounded, busty woman. The thick mommy slips something in Mugen and Jin's drinks, knocking them both out. Meanwhile, a jealous Fu goes out to meet Nagamitsu and learns that Nagamitsu is trying to challenge a samurai wearing glasses. Realizing it might be Jin, she tries to warn them but finds both Mugen and Jin unconscious. The trio manages to earn money by doing some kick-ass tricks, earning them enough money equivalent to the amount that was stolen by the dummy thick lady. So the group heads to an antique shop to buy Jin eyeglass. There the group runs into Nagamitsu. One of Nagamitsu's followers challenges Jin to a duel, and of course he has the upper hand in the fight. But the guy is committed to this losing duel because he was blinded by revenge, saying that even if Jin kills him now, more students from the old school Jin was in will come after him to avenge their master who was killed by the man himself. That said, Jin ends up sparing the guy's life, yet the ungrateful Frick still vows revenge on Jin. Suddenly, a dog interrupts the conflict, as does the good-looking lady who seems fed up with Nagamitsu's shenanigans and drags him away. Several days after him, we now follow the group, who are approached by a guy selling travel passes, so they purchase them to cross the border of the next town, but they get detained and sentenced to death when the passes are shown to be fake. The border captain offers Mugen a chance to save his friends. Hit a criminal's head through a bandit-filled forest and return by nightfall, he tells him, with no other way and with the mission being easy enough for him, or so as he thought. Mugen gets chased by some bandits. He evades the warrior monks wearing Tengu masks but falls into a trap. One border patrol guy that was also following our boy finds out that he was imprisoned by the bandits, so after licking his snot away, the four-eyed weirdo attempts to free him but fails. However, he manages to escape the robs in the cell to then start a fire, giving them an opening to run towards the fields. During the chaos, Mugen fights the bandits who outnumber him. Luckily, the fire spreads into their field and releases hallucinogenic gases from burning all the grass. The fumes reach the border post, saving Fu and Jin from execution. As the guards become docile and the three reunite, Fu and Jin come across Mugen partying with the warrior priests. And with the holy folk, we continue our journey as the three are offered food by a priest if they clean his dojo. When Fu is doing errands, she hears about a string of mysterious killings, where the victims are all skilled samurai with a large bounty offered for his capture. Mugen is the only one interested, and while going to a bar to drink, a man talks to him about the mystery killer. Mugen realizes the man is the killer and attacks. During the battle, Mugen is briefly overwhelmed by the man's non-contact attacks before the police arrive, with him promising to fight Mugen on the next full moon. Later, we see Jin being suspicious of the priest to the point of holding him at sword point, saying he's too fast to be an ordinary old priest. The priest reveals that he is the killer's teacher. The guy learned the secret techniques surrounding Qi after being shipwrecked in China, and his violent ways cause the two split. Hearing this, Mugen trains hardcore in preparation for his fight and before he heads out to battle. Fu reminds him about his promise while Jin says, "Remember, I am the one who is supposed to slay you." After this kind of wholesome moment with the pair, Mugen fights against the fucked up hairline guy, and he is impressed with Mugen's skill. And when it finally looked like he had our boy on the robs, he blasted his Kamehameha wind cutter just to then be surprised that Mugen learned to do it too. Yet gets disarmed in the process, seemingly falling unconscious. When the man with the budget Vegeta haircut goes to deliver the final blow, Mugen pulls out a knife, killing him and ending his journey with the priest praying for his soul. Fast forward, and now the three are stuck in a town on a rainy night, trying to find work. Mugen trains a beetle for a bug tournament, eventually winning. Jin ends up meeting and bonding with a woman called Shino, who is very waifu material by the way. Sadly, she was contemplating drowning herself rather than selling herself into prostitution to pay her husband's debts. While she does become a prostitute the following day, Jin pays to be with her, and when he finds out her husband is beating her, Jin helps her escape. Shino buys her freedom from her husband, then Jin fights off the brothel guards while she escapes by boat. After that, the trio crashes in an inn to rest. Mugen steals Fu's diary that she has been keeping since they first started on their journey. What is funny is that when he opened it, he got shocked. Reason: he learned he can't read, so Jin takes it and reads it. The episode is a humorous recap on what has happened so far as seen through Fu's viewpoint. Yes, sir, you heard that right, it's a recap within a recap. And just like how you all gonna comment your thought and criticize the video, the boys did the same thing while going through the diary. They found out that their initial journey to Edo was in pursuit of a rumor that the Sunflower Samurai was seen there. In the end, they find a note written by Fu saying that she knew they would try and snoop into her diary, which enraged Mugen. Later, Fu, Mugen, and Jin go to the beach for the first time, and the trio meets Mugen's childhood acquaintances Koza and Mukuro. After losing a bet to Mukuro, Mugen is forced to join his old bud on a job. The job is to steal gold from a government ship, and Mukuro secretly reveals to Koza that he plans to kill Mugen to tie off loose ends. While Mugen is fighting the government officials, Mukuro blows up the ship Mugen was in. In turn, Koza asks Jin to kill Mukuro to avenge Mugen, so the man says okay, and they head to it, leaving Fu, who finds Mugen's body near the shore. Meanwhile, Mukuro and his associate are discussing matters in a hidden area that they plan to use until it is safe to escape, and Mukuro comments on his efforts to hook up the lackey with his sister. Fast forward to Koza arriving at the safe house where Mukuro is. Mukuro tells his sister that the lackey is waiting for her. Suddenly, Jin appears and calls the douche out and kills him in revenge for Mugen, since he believes himself the only one worthy to kill the Swag King, which we all know is another way for him to admit that he likes the guy. That said, Jin realizes he has been tricked, and while trying to find the little rascal, he sees a weakened Mugen. Mugen confronts the lovebirds and effortlessly kills the lover boy. Realizing that Koza is deeply lonely, Mugen just ignores her, walking past the little bee and leaving her to her life without anyone who cares about her, as well as without the information about the gold the gang stole. However, not all things feel bad as the anime gods smile down on the gang. While fishing, the three discover a large bag of money, which they use to get a good meal in the next town, so good food transformed into what Mugen calls a human pig. And the spending didn't end there, as the boys ditched Fu to go to the town's red light district, where they crash into a hotel known for its good women. Funny enough, all the options were below mid except for one girl that Mugen scored by winning a game of rock, paper, scissors. Unfortunately, we find out the money is forged and not intended for the public. The local gang leader behind the forging believes a shogunate spy Yatsuha with our boy is responsible. We also learn that they have caught and tortured her partner. After hearing all this from the next room, Yatsuha uses Mugen for her ends, promising to sleep with him if he helps destroy Jinse's gang. And with the power of Horny by his side, Mugen became a one-man army, finishing everyone in sight and fulfilling his end of the deal. But sadly for our boy, when he finally goes for the prize, the ninja girl knocked him out and left him under a tree outside town. However, when she departed with her partner, she genuinely said promise to marry Mugen when their journey is completed. Fu, Mugen, and Jin continue to wander the woods. They get into a massive fight regarding their mission of finding the Sunflower Samurai. Impatient and irritated, Mugen angrily presses Fu for information about their journey, but Fu remains stubborn about revealing all the details. After things get too heated, the three split up and go their separate ways. Fu was briefly abandoned by her pet Momo and falls into a river. Mugen is misidentified as a Matsumi clan soldier and is attacked by a man Okiru. When Mugen asks who is he and who are these clan guys, hearing this Okiru leaves him. Meanwhile, Jin is attacked by his former classmate Yukamaru. Not wanting to kill him, Jin jumps off a cliff. On the other side, Okiru rescues Fu from the river. While hiding, Mugen is ambushed by the Matsumi clan who mistakes him for Okiru. Mugen manages to defeat the Matsumi clan guys and capture a member who reveals that Okiru murdered an entire village, members of the Matsumi clan, and even his wife and daughter. On the other side, Fu asks Okiru to travel with her to find the Sunflower Samurai, but Okiru declines. Meanwhile, Jin is recovering from his fight with Yukamaru and overhears the Matsumi clan talking about Mugen and Okiru. Mugen meets Okiru again, and Okiru explains that the Matsumi clan spread disease into his village before setting it on fire to prevent it from getting out. Jin hears Fu's screams and finds out Yukamaru used her as bait to draw Jin out. Jin and Yukamaru fight, with Jin killing Yukamaru. They overhear explosions as the Matsumi clan interrupts Mugen and Okiru's fight. The Matsumi shoot Okiru with flaming arrows, and Mugen attacks them for interrupting their fight. The next day, the trio continues their journey, with Fu revealing that she is seeking revenge against the Sunflower Samurai for the sake of her mother. But for now, we are back in another restaurant where Fu realizes that Mugen is illiterate. A man with a hot temper decides to teach Mugen how to read, using excessive force during their training, which was very funny to see our boy being slapped around for the first time and not clapping back at his new sensei. In the next village, Fu was waiting for Jin, and Mugen is in a shed when a young woman named Yuri barges in, trying to hide from two guys following her. Yuri notices the necklace Fu is wearing and confirms it to be a Christian symbol. But then the thugs break into the shed, knocking out Fu and kidnapping Yuri. While the trio tries to find Yuri, Fu is caught, and Yuri reveals that the Sunflower Samurai's name is Shizo Kasumi. Mugen and Jin go to rescue the girls, and in the process, they expose a charlatan named Xavier who pretends to be Christian, so he can get weapons by tricking the Christian Japanese folk into making them. However, with the cat out of the bag, he tries to escape and ends up accidentally killing himself. The next morning, the trio says farewell to Yuri. Fu then reveals that the Sunflower Samurai is her father before heading to the next town. Fu, Mugen, and Jin meet a blind woman named Sara, who is a traveling musician. Because of her blindness, she can sense the emotions of the group. During their travels, the trio grows close to Sara, especially Mugen. One night, Sara asks Fu if it is okay for either Jin or Mugen to accompany her to her destination, and Fu chooses Jin, thinking Jin would refuse. However, much to her horror, Jin accepts and leaves with Sara. That night, Jin is attacked by Sara on top of an old bridge. Sara overpowers Jin, but Jin cuts the bridge ropes, sending them into the river. The next day, Fu and Mugen find Sara, and Sara lies that she could not find Jin. While investigating, Mugen finds Sara's damaged instrument and cane and realizes Sara is lying. He confronts her, but Sara attacks and is stopped when Fu shields him, and she leaves, conflicted in her feelings. Jin recovers, having been saved by a fisherman, and Sara is told by her employer to stop the three or her son will die. The three reunite, then Mugen has a final fight with Sara, which she deliberately loses. Mugen asks her why she held back before she dies, and Sara reveals that she has nothing to live for now that her son was already dead. The trio tries to go to Ikatsuki, where the Sunflower Samurai resides. An American ship crewed by baseball players arrives. The Americans want to do business with the Japanese by force, using intimidation tactics on the locals. A man wearing sunglasses makes Fu, Mugen, and Jin play baseball to get the American who sounds French in the dub to leave the town peacefully. Alongside an old man who dies during the match, Manza the Saw, you remember him from earlier, also played in the game. Ironically, a dogo with a bat in his mouth did better than him. Sadly, the dogo got a ball to the guts that dropped him down, just like what happened to the ninja wearing sunglasses who was killed during the game. With Mugen being the last man standing in a 1 versus 9 situation, he managed to clutch the game, injuring the American baseball team with his powerful throws, winning the match. All in all, this was a good comic relief moment before the shitstorm the characters will face when the final obstacles are revealed. Kariya Kabitoki, the Hand of God, is a powerful samurai who gets recruited by the shogunate to kill the trio before they reach Fu's father Shizo Kasumi, the Sunflower Samurai. Meanwhile, 3 assassins are also tracking the group, killing anyone that gets in their way. Mugen, Jin, and Fu finally arrive in Nagasaki, their final stop before Ikatsuki, but Fu is feeling sad about their journey ending, so she tries to find souvenirs before leaving them with a thanking note and heading alone to confront her father. Kariya meets Mugen and Jin and states that Fu's father was one of the leaders of the rebellion and that the shogunate was tracking the trio to find Fu's father. Kariya challenges them to fight. Meanwhile, Fu is attacked by the assassins. Mugen and Karya fight, with Mugen being easily defeated. If you thought it will not be a short fight, I guess you missed the point where the guy is called the Hand of God. That said, Mugen's fight with him really ends when the lunatic assassin arrives to tell Mugen and Jin to go to the church on Ikitsui to save Fo. Jin tells Mugen to go, and Karya expresses interest in killing the samurai who killed Inshiro Maria, Jin's teacher. It is revealed that Jin killed his master after Karya persuaded Maria to turn his students into assassins and later ordered Maria to kill Jin. Karya and Jin talk about how the age of the samurai is about to end before the two fight again, ending the duel with the Hand of God seemingly cutting down Jin. Meanwhile, the lunatic assassin is attacking Mugen on the boat to Ikitsui. It was close with our boy on the Robs, however, when the battle went underwater, Mugen killed him but not without being gravely injured. Then Mugen finds the head lunatic holding Fu captive, and he reveals that he and his benched brother were government officials that were on the ship Mugen and Nukura blew up in misguided miscreants. The creep agrees to free Fo if Mugen gives up his sword, and Mugen agrees. After letting Fu go, he attacked Mugen viciously while Fu reaches her father. Finally, Fu confronts her father Kasumi, who is dying of illness. She is angry that he abandoned her mother to a life of hardship and loneliness, but she doesn't fulfill her revenge as he is already dying. Karya arrives to kill the man. He allowed Kasumi to say his last words to Fu, which was, "I always love you and your mother. Please forgive me if you can," and then the Hand of God stuck him down. He then turned on Fu, but Jin arrived to face him one more time, this time killing Karya with a secret move his teacher taught him as his final lesson. A move that gives him an opening but leaves him open. Thus, after using it, Jin too falls. Downstairs, Mugen is tortured by the creep, but he taunts him into reckless attacks and wounds him, giving him time to retrieve his sword. The two fight hard, but Mugen outsmarts him and kills the guy and his brother, who shot our boy in the back before blowing himself up in an attempt to kill Mugen with a hidden bomb. Then the trio reunited, all wounded up. Since Mugen and Jin successfully led Fu to her father, the two agree to fight each other to fulfill their promise of killing each other when the mission ended, despite Fu's protest. When they go for the strike, their blades shatter on impact, and the two agree to postpone their duel as finally they consider each other friends. While Mugen and Jin recover, Fu learns that her father abandoned Fu and her mother to prevent the shogunate from targeting them. The three decide to split, but not before Fu reveals that she lied about the outcome of the coin flip at the beginning of the journey. Mugen and Jin get annoyed, but the three part are on good terms, grateful for their shared memories.